Hello, everyone. It is Al Smith, the Gas Man, here for another edition of Regalia Therapy. And today I want to talk about oaths and promises and, the feelings that knights are experiencing right now with, I guess, this common phrase that you might have heard. Um, if you don't like it, leave the order. If you don't like the rules, quit. And we hear that time and time again. We also hear this line to say, "Well, what about your promise? What about your pledge? Why don't you just stick to your promise? Stop breaking your promise." This is stuff that goes on all the time. We see that this. I like to say rhetoric because I've done a show called Regalia Rhetoric, but this is therapy because men are coming to me now and saying, "Listen, um, they're telling me to go back and look at the promises I made, and they're threatening to kick me out of the order if I don't obey my promises and follow the rules." And I said, "You know what? I got to look these up. You know, been at it 30 years. There's, you can see, 30 years you collect a lot of stuff, and I've been to a lot of degrees, tons of degrees over the years." And so people ask me, "Yeah, what did I promise 30 years ago? What was the thing?" So just to remind everyone, again, I wanted to start off with this. This line says it all. The Knights of Columbus is not a democracy. It's not a democracy, okay? It's a fraternal men's organization. It's like any other club. The club has rules, and it can basically kick out members of the club. I said in one show a long time ago about the Little Rascals, Spanky, Buckwheat, Alfalfa, and they were all part of the He-Man Woman Haters Club. And they all made a pledge. They all put their hands up and say, "Dear, I will not fall in love with women, so help me God." And they made the pledge to each other. And of course, they all fell in love with Darla. They were all kicked out of the club. And so the same rules apply similarly to the Knights of Columbus. A man in his first degree, when he enters the order, he basically pledges that he will follow the rules. And the only problem is that when they enter the chamber and they go in, um, different reasons why men join. And so they go in, and there's a beautiful ceremonial. Now, I've sworn to secrecy. That's part of the thing. We swear to secrecy. We can't reveal the secrets, and haven't broken that veil of secrecy. So we have that, and we also are asked to make a promise to obey the rules of the order, and be good boys. I mean, I'm paraphrasing here. So this is the issue here. So men come in, they sign the constitutional roll, they sign their 100, and they go into the room and they complete their first degree, and they make the pledge, and then they come out as members of the Knights of Columbus. But the problem is that they were never given this 120-page book that says the constitutional laws, because 20 minutes ago you put your hand up and said, "I promise to follow the rules," and but you never were given the 120-page book of the rules. And I've run many businesses over the years, and all my customers have 48 hours to kind of decide, do they want to keep the gas fireplace I sold them? Do they want to keep the furnace that I sold them, the water heater? They can change their mind. But when you come out of the council chambers, you're not given one of these books to read and say, "Let me just take a look at this. Oh, section 162 about summary suspension. Ooh, didn't know about that." There's not a 48-hour chill on this stuff. And I don't know if I've got thousands of friends who are knights, and they weren't given the rule book after their first degree, or their second degree, or their third degree. So they're pledging to something they don't even know. So that's part of it. Again, it is a club. It is a fraternity. And let's not beat ourselves up. Okay. So when A guy in a suit like this says to the guys, guys, you gotta do your pledge and your promise and, to the order. And remember, it's just like the He-Man Woman Haters Club. Sometimes you basically say, you know what, in my conscience, I can't follow that anymore. And for a lot of Sir Knights, especially in the fourth degree, when they took away the regalia, again, it was a takeaway. They took it away, never to be seen again. They took away the colored cats, the colored capes, and for many of us, they took away our swords. The only way you can use a sword now is if you buy this $500 uniform, US. You can't use a sword anymore unless you buy one of these. Okay? They changed the rules and they did a takeaway. So there's 100,000 men that had capes and they took them away from them. And there's tens of thousands of men now that can't even use their swords unless they buy the new uniform. That's the rule, okay? That's the rule. This is the rules of the order. And if you don't like the rules, they'll kick you out. But you know what? One of the pledges we made that we held up, we pledged to be loyal to the Catholic Church, to the Holy Father, to the priest, to the bishops. And the pledge simply reads, I'm sorry for laughing, because I have to laugh, because I want us to be serious, that we're sometimes getting a little bit worked up that we shouldn't. But it's about my conscience. The pledges are always in your good conscience. The Knights of Columbus is not like the Third Order Franciscans, the Third Order Dominicans. It's not a third order anything. It's a group of men in a fraternal group. Again, there's the Buffalo Lodge, there's the Masonic Lodge, there's the Odd Fellows group, there's all these groups, and there's the Knights of Columbus. We're a group of men, and they have rules, and that's the way it is, okay? So now, when they start kicking out men and removing them from office, I've showed pictures on of all these infraction notice. They're allowed to do that, but it just doesn't make sense to kick out men for a takeaway. Something was taken away from them. But I wanted to this is therapy, guys. So it's not a mortal sin to break the vow of secrecy or the pledge of secrecy. It's not a venial sin to say to your wife, oh, this is what the second degree was. And, the truth be known, many men have told their wives the nature of the degrees, the items used in the degrees. And yet are we turning ourselves in to say, guys, I broke the pledge. I told my wife what was in the third degree. In a few years, the 3 degrees will be gone. The secrets will be gone. The secret handshake will be gone, because they're changing all of that. You've read the news. There's a new uni degree coming out. But again, I just wanted to make sense for all these men who are, faced with a guy with a suit like this saying, you got to keep your promise. You got to do all this. Remember, it's the boys' club. And if you don't like the rules, you can disobey. Like tens of thousands of men still are, because they believe in a principle. They joined the boys' club because this was the way to express themselves. They joined the group to carry these swords, but not to all of a sudden do a takeaway. And remember, this is a takeaway. We joined a club, and this was part of the club. This was part of the rules. This was part of the official uniform. And it's been taken away, and the higher ups are basically kicking guys out if they say, you know what, I'm going to put this colored stuff back on, and I'm going to put these swords on my side. And you know what? The pledge is about our conscience. It doesn't say we're going to go to hell. It doesn't say that we're going to have to go to confession. It's a pledge. It's a promise that we make to our fellow brother knights. And if in your conscience can't, live with that, that's good. You have a clear conscience. every day across the United States, Canada, Poland, the Philippines, and Mexico, there are men that are putting on their colored capes and are going to bed at night with a clear conscience. If they get kicked out of the club, if they get kicked out of the order has to suffer the loss. You know, I showed you what I did, stacks and stacks of files, right? Here they are. These are the men who are ready to be kicked out if the order wants to kick them out. Again, there's always that threat of suspension, but does the order want to kick out Grand Knights, district deputies, past faithful navigators, and decimate the executive of the councils? Again, it's a boys' club. It is not a democracy, but don't beat yourself up about breaking a pledge or a promise. Again, when I go to confession and I do my act of contrition, I say I'm sorry, and I promise not to sin no more and to avoid the nearest occasion of sin. Amen. It's part of the act of contrition. You know what? I broke my pledge. I fell into sin again, but I never got kicked out of God's family. I never got kicked out of this great Catholic Church. Never got kicked out. I'm a sinner. We're all sinners. And I just want the men to be at peace. It is okay because we make a pledge about our conscience. And it is not a mortal sin to reveal the secret. It's not a venial sin to break the pledge. If the organization wants to kick us out, and like the Water Buffalo Lodge, I always think of Fred Flintstone. If they want to kick us out of the lodge, they kick us out. But we'll keep doing what we're doing. I'm still going to read in church. I'm still going to do my Catholic radio shows. I'm still going to do my service to the poor. And you know what? I still might even do the historical reenactment committee with tens of thousands of men wearing the capes. And maybe the Knights of Columbus, the Boys Club, the insurance company, whatever you want to call it, might come to their senses and say, you know what? Let's make peace. Let's make peace. So wanted to just, again, offer a little therapy for you. And, you know, I'm not afraid to talk about these things, you know, talked about money, talked about the uniform, talk about pledges, promises, talk about the boys club, the He-Man Woman Haters Club, all this stuff. Guys, man, we're trying to make a difference in people's lives, and we're trying to love one another. So I'm here to share the love, okay? I own both uniforms, okay? I wear that one more, but still got this one. It doesn't look that bad. It feels good. But listen, I want to see these swords. I want to see them out in action. And if they happen to be behind capes, that's okay too. You have to be comfortable with your conscience. If you can live with your conscience, good for you. That's what we pledge to be at peace with our conscience. So I thought I'd just clear the air. It wouldn't be a program without the intercession of the Venerable Michael J. McGivney. And may he continue to bless us and keep us and be the Catholic gentleman that God has called us to be. And may Almighty God continue to bless not only us, but our families. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. God love you. I'll see you again next time on another edition of Regalia Therapy with your host, Al Smith, the Gas Man.